like clockwork. Colin leaves the room when this call starts every time. He said he heard too much about sore booties. All right, guys. Well, it's our first call of 2020. I'm excited. I don't know if anybody listened to the National Wake Up Call today, but it got me really fired up because I don't know if you guys listen to Carl much. Like you guys have to get to Summit or some live event like where you're surrounded and you can listen to him because he's a very brilliant person and he's very motivational. So basically he has put out there that like Beachbody's going to double their business this year by helping so many more people. He's just not satisfied like with the reach. Although we are the #1 at-home fitness company in the world, which is big, you know, considering how many options are out there now. I mean, you have Peloton, of course, which everybody knows, but there's a ton of other options. He wants us to double that in size. And a lot of big stuff obviously happening at the beginning of this month, like Friday. Everybody knows bar came out, the vegan beach bars are out, the new like monthly fix and monthly 2B mindset are out. And then the 4 weeks of the prep is out too. So they basically pushed everything up this month because I think the Coach Network was kind of complaining, like nobody really wants to wait till January 15th or whatever day it was, you know, to get started. People want to start now. So hopefully everybody's plugged into the new challenge groups and just, I mean, I think we just keep inviting to them and leave them open, but we kind of figure out some way to freshen things up. Like maybe every quarter we start a new one or something like that. Like when people finish bar and the work, we come back together and we do something to where we're not in multiple groups, but always interested to hear like what you guys want to do on that. I did sit down with that Chic, make Chic happen and kind of plan out a month. And I feel like now is a good time to do a free group. I'm not the best at planning these things. So if somebody wants to do a free group, let's chat about it. I think one thing that we really can do to kind of capitalize on the new year is like some sort of coach sneak peek next week. And then we can do a new coach mentorship starting on the 20th. I don't know what the format of a new coach mentorship will look like. Honestly, it's been like just trial and error, trying all sorts of different things, obviously in the past. But I kind of feel like if we reduce the amount of team calls that we have and like we knew the 20th was our start date for like a new coach call, we all jump on together and just kind of like do a little more community feel, you know, like getting to know people if they're joining the team, like talking about our stories, maybe just figuring out some way to make it more personal, because I think that has been the piece that really keeps people here. I read a book like last week and it's called Freakishly Effective Leadership for Network Marketing. And the one thing he said that stuck out to me that I probably needed to hear like 4 years ago is 80% of people who join us in our team, in our challenge groups, are really here more for the community. They're not here for the business. And I feel like that kind of like made a light bulb go off for me. Like, even if people are on our team, we have to do more like community type feel, you know, things to get people excited and like keep people coming back, you know. Getting to events more, I think, is really important for the year. Like, if you can go to Summit, seriously, all the tickets are on sale this month. I have 2 hotel rooms reserved. Like, that is the biggest transformative event for your business if you can get there. And then obviously Super Saturdays. Like, I'm going to try to go to the one in Charleston on Saturday. They have a panel of a bunch of top 10 coaches, and Doug from corporate's going to be there. So I think that's a really good place to start. If you can't make it to like this Super Saturday, then try to go ahead and like take note of when the next one is. Or, you know, Summit. Some people are like, I don't know, it's so far off. Like, get the ticket. It'll make you that much more inclined to go. And it's, I mean, I'm sure Ashley, I could get her to attest to it. Like, just going is such a big deal for you, and it kind of helps you take ownership in your business. So I feel like today's call is really like goal setting. I know some ladies are doing vision boards, and honestly, this is the one thing I wanted to mention, just because I feel like FaceTime, like time with each other, more like team events, if we could get, you know, enough people there, should really be a goal for the year, like to make it to something, because I have a feeling that what you'll see is you walk away with a completely different mindset about where you want to take things. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there to start. And then, of course, just say thank you to everybody, because obviously things here have been so like touch and go over the last couple weeks, and everybody's just been amazing. Like, messages I've gotten and kind words and things like that. So I just want to say thank you. Like, seriously, you guys make me want to get up and keep going, even though I feel obviously really terrible over the last few weeks. So I love you very much. And I just had to say that. We appreciate you guys. So Jen actually sent me a podcast last month of Bob Heilig, and it was all about goal setting. And this was the call we were going to do like the last week of the year. And I really liked the way he broke things down. And I thought maybe we could just kind of like go through the format in his podcast. If you want to go back and listen to it, it was, should I pull the date? Because I think you'll have to kind of do a little reflection outside of this call, but it was episode 125, the 3 biggest mistakes people make when setting goals. So it's December 6th is the date that he came out with it. And then he references another podcast of his, like The Magic of Thinking Big, I think. And I've got to listen to that one next. But it was really helpful, I thought, just for how you approach how you want to go into this year and like what you want to make happen. And I wanted to just talk about everything that he talked about. And then I think like obviously doing a vision board is something you kind of have to sit down and do quietly, or maybe you choose to do Canva, or maybe you choose to pull from magazines, but like that ultimately, it's hopefully where you go from here, and then take that as like, you know, a piece to get you motivated and excited for the new year. So the one thing like he talks about first, and I think we often, I know I don't like to do this, but he's like, reflect back before you look forward. And he really says you should take some time. Like, you know, I sat down the other night and I wrote down like all these things for 2020, but I didn't take time to look at 2019 to really assess. And he encouraged you to take some time to really assess like how 2019 went for you. And this is not all business related, you guys, like this is just life, right? I feel like business is like secondary to everything else that you want for yourself. This is just hopefully a vehicle to get you there. So you reflect back before you look forward. And he kept saying like you have to look at your past to figure out what lessons you want to take from it and how you want to move forward. And this shouldn't be a negative thing. Like I think a lot of us, like we can beat ourselves up if we didn't hit that goal, or maybe we dropped the ball in a program we were doing, or maybe we like let fear drive us too much. But like really looking at that and writing it out, I think is very helpful, because you can then take it and turn it into like the positive view of it, of course. And so there's a couple of questions that he said that you should ask. So you're looking for your greatest disappointments in 2019, because what he says is they can be your biggest accomplishments for 2020. And I think that keeping that like sort of positive spin on it in mind is really helpful, because then you won't get into that like negative place. But number one is, how would you grade your performance in 2019? And this again is not business, like that's a part of it, of course, but like, how would you grade yourself as a friend, or as a mom, or as a significant other, or as a, you know, maybe a member of your church, if you're super active in your church? Like look at kind of all the aspects of your life and grade yourself, like not like A to F, but, you know, just say like, okay, this is the area I'm satisfied with. Maybe this is the area where I feel like I fell short, and really take some time to think about what about that obviously makes you feel like your performance is what it is. Number two is, what are you most proud of? And I think this is probably like the hardest part for some of us, because if we are hard on ourselves, we probably don't necessarily always celebrate our wins. But like, you know, I love that quote that was kind of going viral. Like, yeah, your friend might have gotten married or had a baby, or, you know, so-and-so might have, I don't know, you know, done something super significant like job change. But like, what did you do that you're proud of? Did you run a mile every day? Like that was one that I responded on somebody's post. Did you read more books, you know, than you did the year before? Did you serve more in your community? Things like that. So like, what is your biggest accomplishment for 2019? Number three is, what are your biggest disappointments or regrets? And he says you should really spend the most time on this, because where you feel regrets the strongest is where the possibility for greatness exists the most. And he calls it corrective action. Like that's your area where you can really take it and say, I really regret this, or I'm really disappointed about this, and turn it into what your goal for this year is. And I think it could be multiple goals, of course, but like think about the areas where you really feel like to you fell short, or, you know, I think we tend to hold ourselves to high standards, but maybe where you feel like you fell short to the people around you too. And then number 4, what your major lessons for 2019 are. So this is the part I would suggest doing like on your own prior to putting the vision board and the goals in place for 2020, because obviously it should be kind of like your path to get you to where you're figuring out what your goals for this year are. The second thing, he kind of like, this podcast is geared towards like mistakes that we make. So the first mistake is we don't look back to figure out where we want to go. The second thing is we create our goals only by our current circumstances. So like I was speaking with somebody for a potential mentorship yesterday, and she's like, what are your goals? And I'm like, well, this is what I did last year. So I guess realistically, this is, and that's what he says, like, you should not make your goals based on that. Like if you know, like say this year, you're like, I want to 10x my income for this business. Like make that your goal. Don't judge what you earned last year for what you're capable of doing, because ultimately what you're capable of is probably so much more than you're actually like setting yourself out to get there. Your current circumstances are a result of your past thoughts, is what he said. So like where you are right now is a result of everything you think about yourself, every like thing you think you're capable of. It's not necessarily a result of where you can go. So if you do this, you're creating a future based on your thoughts. And he said, if you change your beliefs, oftentimes you're going to see the biggest results, not just changing, you know, the hours in the day that you work. Like if your belief isn't there, obviously, then it's going to be really hard to get a different result. So changing your beliefs gives you the biggest positive results. And that's his like other podcast where it's the magic of thinking big. And he encourages you to believe bigger, create goals based on possibility, not on your current circumstances, and really, you know, kind of like set the bar higher for yourself than you typically would. Because if you look at yourself right now and you're like, well, this is where I am, this is all I'm capable of, that's probably going to be where you end up. Whereas if you 10x your goals, or you set those big, hairy, audacious goals. Like I listened to another coach call from like the very last week of December, I think, for Jessica Griffin. And she basically was talking about how our team, they constantly share their like big, hairy, audacious goals with each other. And they write affirmations to themselves every day on their mirrors, and they take pictures of it and send it to each other. Like, this is where I'm going. Not like where I am now is not going to dictate how far I can go. And then the third mistake, he says, is we often set personal goals based on what we can get versus what we can give. And I think this, to me, is like a huge shift, because a lot of us come into this to work on ourselves, but then we decide to go into coaching because we want to help other people. However, where we often set our goals is probably like what Beachbody says. You got to hit Success Club. You got to sell this many challenge packs. You got to do this to earn this much money. Whereas if you really set your goals based around service and around giving to others, oftentimes whatever that income goal maybe you had in mind would be will follow. You know, like they always say, the amount of people you serve really is the, I guess, dictating factor of how successful you are. Although not a lot of people think about it that way. Like we're in it for ourselves a lot of times, but in reality, if we're in it to help others and we serve more people, we will see those goals or income goals and things for ourselves will come. And his big thing is love, grow, serve. And if you listen to his videos or his trainings on Facebook or his podcast, and even like Tony Robbins is like this too, like you don't hear these guys talking about like, this is what I can get out of people, or this is, if I talk to this many people, this is how much income. It's much more of like, how can I like help somebody else today? And the more people I can help grow, maybe it's other coaches or maybe it's customers or whatever, the more that I will see my income grow, and all those other things I want will follow, but that can't be my primary driver. And I think in this business, like we often set goals based on income and numbers, But if you really, like, I think in the beginning of this, my goal was like, I just want to help impact somebody, one person each day. Like maybe it's I send the right recipe to that person, or maybe it's that I recommend a book, or maybe it's that I see they posted a quote that I know they're sad, that I like need to send them like an uplifting message, and really adding more value. Then that's whenever things probably for me, I think we're going like in the best direction. I was feeling good, like the confidence factor was there because you would have such positive interactions versus just trying to like sell stuff to people, which obviously doesn't get you positive interactions. And I think that that's something that it's like you kind of have to constantly bring yourself back to that place. But then the other point of that is he really, this is the part that got me. He's like, one, what do you want to do with your life? Like, not like I want to be this person or I want to earn this much money, but like what sort of impact do you really want to make with your life? And how do you want to be remembered? And I remember going to my first summit, and I went to a pre-summit training, and they had us write a letter, like a eulogy letter about ourselves. And I mean, within minutes I was crying, of course, because I'm like, if I look at where I am right now and I'm writing this letter, am I really satisfied with what I would say? Like, she was an attorney, she excelled in law school, she did this. Like, is it a resume that like I care about? No, it's not really the resume I care about. What I care about is the impact. And I think it's a total shift, obviously, because the competitive part of me, the competitive part of a lot of us, like we get caught up in the goal and the falling short of the goal. But in reality, like there's still an impact being made there. And if you kind of set this like picture for what legacy you want to create for your family and what legacy you want to leave for yourself, and you keep coming back to that, that's what will keep you going more so than the like, you know, accolades or anything like that. So how do you want to be remembered? What do you want to do with your life? And then the third part of like setting goals based on what you can give, not just what you can get, is what contribution will you leave in this world? And I feel like this business, of course, can be scary. Putting ourselves out there in any form can be scary, but every interaction that we get to have with people, or every social media post we can make, or every day that we show up like for ourselves and for each other, like that is impacting somebody else's life. And I don't know, like I look at my full-time job and I'm like, I really don't have the opportunity to do that there. I have an opportunity to do it as a mother. You have the opportunity to do it as like a family member. But for like a work perspective, you don't really get that opportunity a lot. I mean, obviously I look at like a nurse or a teacher, you know, like some of the other ladies on our team, and you really like, you are impacting other people on a daily basis. But every interaction that you have with someone is your opportunity to contribute to them, your opportunity to help impact their lives in a positive way, your opportunity to help create the legacy that you want, because ultimately how you impact one person might be, you know, something that they carry on to someone else. And that's how you make the big impact here. And I feel like you should go listen to this episode, because I'm just like piecemealing his stuff together. And when he says it, it's like, wow, that's hitting me hard. Like it's making me really think about how meaningful my life is right now. You know, because you could go through each day and just watch like Netflix and parent your kids kind of like halfway and be, you know, somebody who just is like going through the motions, or you could be really intentional and you could be really like, you know, leading with gratitude and saying, I get the opportunity to do this, and I get the opportunity to help other people, and I get the opportunity to show up and make an impact. And that could change your life if you have that like switch flipped. And I think that's kind of what I would perceive that coaching has done for me. But like now, like having this opportunity, the income that comes with it isn't necessary. But now I can think like, with that income, now how can I go and like help my community, or how can I change my kids' lives as a result of it, or how can I like give back in some sort of way? And so I know a lot of people come into this and they have a hard time like justifying extra time being spent on it, or extra like effort even being spent on it. But in reality, like it gives you a way also to live up to a higher potential and make more income to go make a greater impact. And I know if anybody ever followed Amanda Tress, who does that fast rate of fat loss, she used to always say that like female entrepreneurs give back like 80% more, I think, than male entrepreneurs to their church, their family, and their community. And you almost, like, when you hear it that way, you're like, oh, I have like a higher obligation to set these bigger goals, to make a bigger impact, because I have the opportunity to and have a platform to do it. So obviously I keep bringing it back to coaching. Sorry, I know it's supposed to be like complete life stuff, but it makes me just think of this business so much more. And this business is what made me set goals in the first place. So I have a tendency to bring it back to that place. But those are like the 3 goal setting tips he has, if you will. And obviously it's broken down from there. But I feel like it gives you a couple of like journaling exercises you could do, or like writing, and then you can turn that into your vision board and go from there. And just, if you just want a couple of tips on like the vision board process, we had a coach a couple years ago. I think Molly probably was on the call. She was like very hippy dippy, but wonderful and like super high energy. And she was like a vision board. She taught vision board classes, and she gave us some tips 2 years ago, I think, on this. And she is a big fan of like a paper vision board, not just like on Canva, but I think whatever works for you. Like if you're going to put it in Canva though, like make it into your backdrop or your like screensaver on your phone, something that you're going to look at and keep present. But if you do it on paper, her recommendation is that you put a picture of you or your family in the middle, because that will always bring it back, like a deeper purpose, obviously, for why you want to create the other things in your life. And then think about things like, what more do you want from your relationship? Like, do you want more date nights? Do you want more like time spent one-on-one, more acts of service, things like that. Then think about, obviously, like parent-child relationship. Like, do you want to spend more time like doing something specific with your kids, or maybe reading with your kids, or doing devotionals, something like that, like just other ways that you want to obviously expand upon your life, or, family life right now. And then of course there's job related goals that you could put on there. Maybe it's income, maybe it's team growth, maybe it's like retiring from a job even, it can be like the biggest goals you possibly have, you could put on your vision board. You don't have to operate within like a neat little box, like I think every year I've done mine, I've been like, this is what's realistic. But having listened to the podcast now, I'm like, no, you just put the big stuff on there, and then you're going to actually work harder to make it happen. And then maybe it's like vacation. You want to vacation certain places, so you cut out pictures of the places, or you add those. Debt, like if you want to pay off debt, I know that's one of our big goals for the year. Job changes, I know that's one of Ashley's goals. And then like maybe it's just personal stuff for you, like self-care days, girls trips, like taking time for yourself once a month to go on like a date with yourself, like whatever, the things that make you happy or bring you joy, and the things that you want more of in your life, that's the stuff that goes onto your vision board. And I've had the same vision board for like 2 years with goals I've still not hit, but I still think like there's a benefit in sitting down and doing it again, because your creative juices really start flowing whenever you like flip through the magazine pages, or you write down, like I wrote down a list of like 50 things, I think, the other day, just free flowing. Okay, it's 30. That was a big exaggeration. But like, it gave me a good place to start. Has anybody put a vision board together for the year, or like written down all their goals? I know, Molly, you said you have a word of the year, right? Committed. Anybody else?
I'm working on mine.
Your vision board?
Yeah, it's pretty, maybe, I don't know, 60% done, 70% done. Yeah.
Did you pick a word?
No. I'll work on that. I can't think right now.
A little exhausted.
I'm tired.
Maybe freedom should be your word.
Perfect. Sounds like a good one.
Anybody else? I mean,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably have a word, right? You shared it with
I do have a word, but I got the Start Today journal, and it has you do 10 dreams that you want to make happen. So I've done that, and I'm writing those each day, and I'm hopefully going to do a vision board. I don't have any current, I have magazines, but not, I tried flipping through some of them the other day, couldn't find anything inspiring. I tried the Canva app, and I just couldn't figure out how to get it to do what I wanted it to do. So
I saw Megan's vision board and it looked really good. And when I've done them in the past, it's just like, here's a block next to a block next to a block. Like, I don't know how some people have all the skills with it, but
yeah,
I used that one before a couple years ago. I did magazines, but really just a whole bunch of quotes. So I gotta figure out. But Jen, I think Jen's having like a total mental shift going on right now, and she's sending me messages, and I'm like, she's firing me up. I kind of want to get that journal because I don't know if you guys know Melissa McWeeny. She was on the leadership retreat for us, but she uses it every day, and like she is showing up more consistently than ever. Like her business is exploding. She's like, I think mentally it must just be so empowering to write down what your dreams are every day. Like you're not gonna show up and disappoint your future self, you know?
I have 4 of them that are blank. Send you.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I keep buying them, being like I'm gonna do it. So that's one of the things is on my list is to actually do it.
I'll take one if you have an extra.
I will. I have something else to send you. Stick it in there.
Amanda, you don't have a word yet? Peace?
I've been thinking about it, but I don't know. Destiny, you have a word.
My word's intentional for this year.
Love that.
You're doing it.
Yep.
I definitely appreciate watching your stories because you're like, oh, I need to show up and do what she said. Megan, are you there? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I am. I'm trying to do a million things. We
What's your-
just got back from the beach, so I'm trying to get all of our stuff situated.
I saw your
They start back to school.
I saw your
I've started my vision board. I don't have a word yet. I'm still coming up with it, but I've started my vision board, but I still got to get some more magazines and stuff. But I have been doing the Start Today journal, I guess the last 90 days. And I'm amazed that I've actually sat and I've done it almost every day. So I'm almost finished with this first journal, and I went ahead and got the new one. So I'm kind of excited about that.
I saw your picture.
I'm excited for this year.
You did the Instagram tagging of Rachel. I know she had take a picture with her photo at Target and tag her thing or something.
Yeah, I did. My husband's he's like, "Are you really going to do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to take a picture of something." I was like, yeah, I don't care if you think I don't care if these people, I don't know any of these people. I don't care if they're staring at me. So
yeah. I saw it. I should have gone to Target and done it. I don't care about taking a selfie in public.
Yeah.
Hell, I just posted my before photos, and a girl, Alicia, in our group, she's like, "I love your bra and panties." I was like, I didn't post a picture of my bra and panties. That was a bathing suit. I guess I'm just filling it out so well right now. You can barely tell it's a bathing suit. Well, I know Josh Coates also did his little best decade ever last week, and he had a whole method about writing down goals. I listened on replay, so I don't know that I necessarily picked it all up. Did anybody make the whole thing? I think Nicole was on it. Destiny, were you there?
I was on some of it. I didn't get the whole thing though.
Yeah, I had a hard
He
time.
emailed us though. He emailed us the rest of it. I haven't gone back and looked at the rest of it though.
I didn't see the notes in his email. I have been writing affirmations every day though, and I think it helps.
It does.
And it came from one of his podcasts. All right, y'all. Anybody else have anything else they want to add?
No, if you guys didn't see that link that I sent for that Bob Heilig training, I just was listening to something earlier today. He said it's going to be like one of his best free trainings he's ever done, if not the best free training he's ever done. So I can't
signed up
remember.
for it.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, what is it called? I don't know. It's like a 10-day long. It goes through like 10 days or something, but I think there's 4 trainings.
Did you
But-
link that in our thread, our biz thread?
I think so.
I'll have to go look.
Yeah, there's like a sign up thing. I could put it in there again. That way you don't
Yeah.
have to go searching for it.
Will you put it in the team page too?
Yeah, I actually thought about that earlier and then I forgot. So thanks for reminding me.
Well, I don't really want to use the team page much anymore because I just feel like things get lost, but I do feel like it's like a bulletin board. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've got to get a chat thread, a new one together for the morning workout crew. I meant to do it last night. And then I think we can just use our business accountability thread, but I'd like to use it more for like posting accountability for business stuff. And so I put the 3 books, like the Make Chic Happen, the Rise Up Journal, and the Success Club trackers. The Make Chic Happen though really is not, it's like literally just a social media plan. I mean, it's good though. It's like, it's helpful to obviously put that in place. But the Rise Up and the Success Club tracker are definitely more of like actual accountability. I really just want to come up with like some simplified things for new coaches to use when they start so they don't get overwhelmed. And I like, maybe you guys can help me with this of like, okay, here's the basic tasks that like I wish someone would have told me to focus on right when I started. Because I mean, it's changed so much since I started. Like back when I used to like, you know, when I first began, I just post and you'd get like 200 likes on a post and people would say, what are you doing? And now it's not like that anymore. So I feel like just very simple, like a checklist or a task, like keep it simple is kind of what I would like to do for the year. Like create just a few resources, say this is exactly what you need for that thing. And then make them like, just, if you want to see success, just do these few things. You don't have to do everything, you know? So think about that. I'm going to post in our little thread and ask for feedback on it and try to get some things in place. And then if we get a new coach training started on the 20th, like hopefully that will be the date to have it all kind of ready to go. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming.
See ya.
Forgot to